what's the blonde slash light red hair?
First thing about that is because I was really reflective.
Well, you are.
We do this.
It is 1:30.
It's just something about that. It brings everybody together.
The clock in the chambers is a few minutes past. It's a few minutes slow, and so therefore we are a few minutes slow. So it is interesting how creatures of habit are creatures of habit. We watch that clock religiously, and so here we are. So I'll reconvene the meeting. We are starting this off with a bang with the quarterly employee service recognition with Christina Brandolini up on the deck again.
Yes. Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. Christina Brandolini, Human Resources Director. I get to do all my favorite things today, benefits and employee awards. So I'm happy to be here this afternoon as we have the pleasure of recognizing several employees for their service to Seminole County. We're going to start. Kim Ornberg with Environmental Services will lead us off in recognizing Elizabeth Montgomery, Solid Waste Coordinator with 20 years of service.
Good afternoon, and as Christina said, I'm Kim Ornberg. I'm the Environmental Services Director, and it's my pleasure to present Elizabeth Montgomery, or Liz as we like to call her, who has spent 20 years of her career all in solid waste with us in the solid waste division. She started as a scale operator before moving to senior staff assistant, and finally as our solid waste coordinator position for the last 4 years. She's been so successful, I think, with us and with our team because she is so dedicated to the solid waste division and helps everyone. She's always willing to help, and even to this day, if they need help in the scale house, she will jump in and go out there and help wherever she's needed. As a senior staff assistant, she took on duties of the program coordinator and the solid waste coordinator while those positions were vacant. And due to her efforts, then she was promoted into her current role as solid waste coordinator. She's always been dedicated to furthering her education as well, and she now holds an AS degree as an office administrator and continues to take office and solid waste management courses to keep up with the rapidly changing technologies and regulations. When Liz isn't at work, she loves to cook and to travel and to spend time with her family. And while she also loves all sports, the Tampa Bay Bucks continue to be her very favorite. Go Bucks. We're very happy and fortunate to have her as a longtime valued member of our environmental services team. And Liz, I want to say to you, thank you for all of your years of service to Seminole County, to your dedication to our citizens, our customers, and to our team. So thank you.
Next, Deputy Chief Matt Hetler will be recognizing fire department employees, and we're going to start with Lakshmi Sankaran, Public Safety Data Compliance Analyst with 25 years of service.
Good afternoon, Honorable Commission. Again, I'm Deputy Chief Matt Hetler with the Fire Department. Lakshmi Sankaran began her career with Seminole County in 2001 as an intern for the Seminole County Cartographic Team. She's a graduate from the University of Montana, where she obtained her master's degree in geography and cartography. During her employment, she has served in planning and development, public works, information services, and is currently with the Fire Department as a data compliance analyst. Next up will be Lieutenant Dave Williams. He's going to be celebrating 30 years of service. Lieutenant Dave Williams began his career with the Seminole County Fire Department in 1996. During his career, he proudly served the citizens of Seminole County in countless roles, including firefighter, paramedic, flight paramedic on Air Rescue 3 and Air Care, training lieutenant, rescue specialist assigned to alert with Seminole County Sheriff's Aviation Unit, public information officer, honor guard, bike team, an instructor for numerous EMS disciplines, including advanced cardiac life support, pediatric advanced life support, CPR, and as the regional coordinator and lead instructor for pre-hospital trauma life support. Lieutenant Williams is currently serving and assigned at Station 36 A Shift, the very station where he began his career and where he plans to finish it.
That concludes our presentation for this afternoon. So if we can do pictures, we'll have everybody go in order.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, where'd Constantine get off to?
Got lost again.
Oh, there he is. Oh, popcorn. Popcorn refill.
For everybody.
No, it's not.
You could have brought cheeseburgers.
All right, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the agenda, looking for proof of publication.
So moved.
Second.
Have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none, passes unanimously. Ex parte disclosure, please.
It's been submitted online, but I'll submit it in person as well.
All right, mine has been submitted online.
I've been submitted, let's also include a hard copy. Pass that down.
Mine has been submitted online through the clerk's office.
Mine's been submitted online, and it was all about the Henderson Hills rezoning and their emails.
All right, I'll look to the county attorney.
While the board welcomes comments from all persons with an interest in these proceedings, Florida law requires the board's decision in quasi-judicial actions to be supported by competent substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearings on the applications. Competent substantial evidence is such evidence as a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. There must be a factual basis in the record to support opinion testimony from both expert and non-expert witnesses. Persons presenting testimony may rely on factual information that they present, information presented by county staff, information the applicant presents, or on factual information included in the county staff report to support their testimony. All persons who present written materials to the board for consideration must ensure that a copy of such materials is provided to the clerk for inclusion in the board's record of the proceedings and the official minutes. Chairman.
Thank you very much. All right, the first item up is the Alafaya Beasley rezone, and this will be presented by Caitlin Apgar, Senior Planner.
Good afternoon, Caitlin Apgar, Planning and Development Services. The applicant is requesting the approval for a rezone from R1AA single-family dwelling to R1 single-family dwelling for a proposed single-family residential subdivision of 3 lots on approximately 1.14 acres. The property has a future land use of low-density residential, which allows a maximum density of 4 dwelling units per net buildable acre. The proposed 3-lot subdivision equates to a proposed density of approximately 2.63 dwelling units per acre. The current R1AA zoning designation requires a minimum lot size of 11,700 square feet with a minimum lot width at building line of 90 feet. The proposed R1 zoning district requires a minimum lot size of 8,400 square feet with a minimum lot width at building line of 70 feet. The property is currently developed as a single-family residence. The proposed subdivision intends to include the existing single-family home. The property proposes access onto Alafaya Trail, which is classified as an urban principal arterial. Alafaya Trail is currently operating at a level of service A to C, depending on the direction and time of day. Future development of the property is permitted to use the existing FDOT-approved access as a common driveway serving all future residential lots. The access would function as a shared private access point, and the existing location and configuration of the driveway would remain unchanged unless otherwise approved by FDOT and Seminole County. There is an existing sidewalk along Alafaya Trail, therefore the developer will not be required to build a sidewalk along the property frontage. The requested R1 zoning classification does not require a plan for review during the rezone process. Therefore, at the time of preliminary subdivision plan review, the development will be evaluated for required buffers. The R1 zoning district does not require open space. The proposed lots are within Seminole County's potable water service area and are required to connect. The proposed lots are also within the county's sewer service area and reclaim irrigation area, but will not be required to connect. The portion of Beasley Estates located directly southeast of the proposed development is characterized by lots that have a minimum lot width of 70 feet and a minimum lot size of 8,400 square feet. The adjacent Beasley Estates development is consistent with the proposed R1 zoning district dimensional standards, and the request provides an appropriate transition from the larger lot sizes and widths to the north and southwest. The request is consistent with the Seminole County Land Development Code and the prevailing trend of development characterized by single-family developments in the area. The overall density complies with the underlying future land use designation of 4 dwelling units per net buildable acre, and the proposed zoning designation is also compatible. In compliance with Seminole County Land Development Code, Section 30.35 Community Meeting Procedures, the applicant conducted a community meeting on April 21st, 2026. Details of this meeting have been included in your agenda package. The Planning and Zoning Board met on June 3rd, 2026, and voted unanimously to recommend the board adopt the ordinance enacting the rezone from R1AA to R1. Staff requests the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from R1AA single-family dwelling to R1 single-family dwelling as per the following motion as projected on the slide. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Do they wish to make a presentation?
The applicant is here.
If you would, sir, please give your name and address for the record.
Sure. Greetings. My name is Paul Kaufman, 840 Palmetto Terrace, Oviedo, Florida. I'm a part owner of the property. Here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. And do we have any public comment on this item?
No, ma'am.
All right. Board members, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Delory.
I'd like to make a motion based on the staff's finding and testimony and evidence received at this hearing, and I find the request consistent with the comprehensive plan and meets the applicant's portion of the Land Development Code, and move to adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from R1AA single-family dwelling to R1 single-family dwelling on approximately 1.14 acres on the west side of Alafaya Trail, south of Beasley Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
not specifically on this one, but something that I heard while going through. They said, we still have a sidewalk fund, do we not? And I heard that because we've already built sidewalks there, that they would not be required to build sidewalks. Would there not be a possibility, since that is, a public good and we're doing that already, that maybe we would look at them contributing to the sidewalk fund? Not specifically this one, because they've gone through things, but, would that be required? Could we look into that?
Yes, I'll look into that.
Because if they're already done, we paid for it, just be something that I would consider. I'm not saying we do it or not. I just
future
have to look at-
applications.
Yes,
Nothing
that's what
to
I'm
do-
saying.
He was clear.
That's why I waited until we voted.
Yeah.
So we're,
Yes.
a
Agreed.
consideration for future applications
Yes.
to be brought back to the board for
Absolutely,
consideration.
that's what I'm saying. It seems only fair.
Got it.
In the spirit of looking for all opportunities for
Yes.
revenue generation. I appreciate that. All right, the next item is BioFit rezone, and this is Ms. Caitlin Apgar again.
Good afternoon again, Caitlin Apgar, Planning and Development Services. The applicant is requesting the approval for a rezone from C1 Retail Commercial to C2 General Commercial for a proposed car dealership on approximately 1.65 acres located on the northwest corner of Camp Road and west of State Road 426. The property has a future land use of industrial, which allows a maximum intensity of 0.6 floor area ratio. The current floor area ratio of the site is 0.16. The applicant is requesting a rezone from C1 Retail Commercial to C2 General Commercial to redevelop the subject property as an automobile dealership without automobile repair. The site is located in the Seminole County Utility Service Area and is connected to water and sewer. Environmental Services is requiring the developer to provide a utility easement for maintenance of county utility lines, as one was not previously established during the original development. The property currently has one access onto Camp Road, a county-maintained local road. There is an existing sidewalk along Camp Road that connects to the site and to the trail to the rear. There's also a sidewalk existing along State Road 426 that is connected to the site. Buffer and open space requirements will be determined at final site plan approval. The site was approved for development in 2019 in compliance with the County Land Development Code. The site was previously developed as an 11,254 square foot gym in 2019. The developer proposes to renovate the existing building to accommodate for the selling and storage of vehicles. The proposed use of automobile sales does not adversely affect the surrounding property and is required to maintain adequate buffering from State Road 426, Camp Road, and the trail to the northwest. C2 is consistent with the surrounding properties. The development pattern in this area includes public utility sites as well as light manufacturing and warehouse facilities, which are consistent with the industrial future land use designation. The proposed C2 zoning district is considered compatible with the industrial future land use. In compliance with the Seminole County Land Development Code, the applicant conducted a community meeting on March 3rd, 2026. Details of this meeting have been included in the agenda package. The Planning and Zoning Board met on June 3rd, 2026, and voted unanimously to recommend the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from C1 to C2. The meeting minutes have been included in the agenda package. Staff requests the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from C1 Retail Commercial to C2 General Commercial as per the following motion as projected on the slide above. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Is the applicant here?
Good afternoon. On behalf of the applicant, McGregor Love, 215 North Yola Drive from the Lowndes Law Firm. We concur with staff's report. I'll just note a couple of additional items. And again, we are, Caitlin used the right word, renovating this building. We're not expanding the footprint in any way, not proposing an expansion. There was also a question at Planning and Zoning about how vehicles will be displayed on the property, and our understanding is that C2 does not outright prohibit the outdoor storage of vehicles, but there's no current intention to store vehicles outside. And if you look at page 663 of your agenda packet, that's where the aerial is. And I don't know if you're able to go to the aerial portion of that presentation as well. You'll see that along State Road 426, which is really the only main right-of-way view, there's a view of there's a significant buffer of trees, and that's much more visible if you looked at sort of the Google Street View. But if any cars were displayed there, they would not be visible from the right-of-way. So it sort of makes outdoor display of vehicles impractical. But I'm here to answer any questions that you have. Appreciate it. We concur with staff's recommendation. We ask for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay close. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, ma'am. There's one speaker, Marcos Trismel.
Sir, if you would, give your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes after that.
Sure. My name is Marcos Trismel. I live at 2776 Cypress Head Trail, Oviedo, Florida, 32765. Do I commence?
You do commence.
All right. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. It sucks I'm the only one, though. But anyway, I live very near that area where the dealership is planned to be set up, I guess. And I guess I'm here in representation with the people in my subdivision, at least where we've been talking about it, where we don't think it belongs there. Like, this is Aloma is Main Street, but this area is mostly residential. The plan is to have a dealership. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't match. The area is going to bring potentially more traffic, which is already congested. We need new buildings coming up. So I don't think, again, it's not going to help the community in terms of visibility and traffic and stuff like that. So, well, I'm opposed to it. A bunch of people in my community are opposed to it. I'm just here to I guess, verbally say so, and say that, maybe, I don't know if you guys have the power to just consider that a dealership just doesn't belong to the area. It's not a restaurant. It's not a gym. It's a car dealership. I heard that, okay, currently the plan is, currently, there's no visibility for cars, so, okay, currently, maybe they're gonna chop the trees and it's gonna, okay, eventually will be. And then it's also like, I think this will set precedents for other potential more commercial kind of stores to start populating the area, and it will be turning from a residential area to more commercial area. And, you know, this is still Oviedo. Oviedo was supposed to be more like a rural area. Progressively in the past 20 years with that being in the area, it's gone more commercial, which like a lot of us don't like. But so anyway, so here I'm just to raise my voice in complaint saying, again, this does not belong there, and hopefully it won't stay there. I guess that's all I got to say.
Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thank you for hearing me.
Would the applicant like to respond? Thank you, sir.
Again, for the record, McGregor Love, you turn to page 664 of your agenda packet, and could you pull up the future land use map for this property? And I know that everyone on this commission knows this, but the future land use map is the planning document for the county. It's where the county goes and kind of designates by sector it sets the goalposts for what type of uses and zoning districts can be developed in a certain area. And you'll see that this parcel is not just industrially designated, but it's actually surrounded by additional industrial parcels. It's not one of those to the east that you see that's actually adjacent to residential. So the question before you, it's a rezoning request. There is a proposed use, but the question of is this consistent with the future land use map? Clearly, it's consistent with that future land use map. And one of the specific concerns that the gentleman mentioned was traffic. My understanding, and anyone from the county who knows this differently, please do correct me, but my understanding is that the ITE rate for automotive sales is slightly lower than the ITE rate for a gym, so there should actually be a reduction in the number of trips. But that's all. I'm here to answer any of your questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Zimbauer?
I do have a question for the applicant. Car dealer operations is something I'm acutely aware of, and I think I heard you indicate there'll be no vehicles kept or maintained outside. Is that what I heard said earlier?
That's correct.
So all vehicles for sale will be inside the building?
That's correct.
Okay. So outside the building, we suspect would be employees' vehicles?
Correct.
Customers' vehicles?
Yes.
We would not have vehicles with streamers and flags and big numbers on the windshield being sold?
No, that is not the intent. It's intended to be a specialty car dealership.
That's what it sounds like, high-end.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to do a little look around. There was an invitation for staff to refute the traffic, and I see no one raising their hand to refute the traffic statement. So from a factual, okay, so it stands. Thank you. You can be seated.
Thank you.
I want to confirm that there's no further public comment on this.
Correct.
All right.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Delary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, this is a specialty auto resale, and as the applicant has stated, this entire area on that side of 426 is future land use is industrial or is existing industrial. And based on the staff's finding and testimony, the evidence received here today at the hearing, and the findings and requests are consistent with the comprehensive plan and meets the portions of the Land Development Code, and I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from C1 retail commercial to C2 general commercial for the proposed car dealership on approximately 1.65 acres located on the northwest corner of Camp Road and West State Road 426.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. I think that takes us to item number 25, Slavia Station PD rezone, and this is Ms. Apgar again. We're going to have to buy you a Coke after this is all done.
Good afternoon. Caitlin Apgar, Planning and Development Services for the record. The applicant is requesting the approval for a rezone from PD Plan Development to PD Plan Development for a proposed coffee shop and renovation of a historical building on approximately 1.45 acres located on the east side of State Road 426, south of Red Bug Road. The subject property had previously secured approval of PD zoning entitlements and a PD future land use, approved on August 14, 2007. In accordance with Seminole County Land Development Code, Section 30.8.5.6, the required final development plan was not submitted within 5 years, and substantial development had not occurred within 8 years after approval. As a result, the PD entitlements had expired, necessitating this rezone. There was no maximum floor area ratio established per the previously approved PD. However, the applicant is proposing a maximum floor area ratio of 0.24 in this request. The proposed development as depicted in the master development plan has an overall FAR of 0.10. The previous PD entitlements included permitted uses of OP office and CN neighborhood commercial zoning districts. Additional previously approved uses included banks, civic assembly, daycares, and restaurants. The current request includes less extensive permitted uses, consisting of uses permitted in the CN neighborhood commercial zoning district, office, and civic assembly as an accessory use limited to 16 seats. The 1,370 square foot building existing on the property is considered to be historical in nature. The structure was utilized as a filling station and general store for the early Slavia community around 1929. The applicant proposes to utilize the existing structure as a coffee shop, as well as construct a pavilion, bathroom facilities, and an additional office building in the rear. This development is within Seminole County's potable water service area and sanitary sewer area and is required to connect to public utilities. The developer will be required to build a private pump station to connect to the county's force main system. The property will access onto Red Bug Road, which is classified as a local road. The developer is required to build a 5-foot sidewalk along the property's frontage on Red Bug Road. Landscape buffers required include a 10-foot wide buffer along the north property line and a 15-foot wide buffer with a 3-foot hedge enhancement along the east, south, and west property lines. Specific buffer components will be established at final development plan. 25% common usable open space will be provided on the subject property. The proposed PD zoning designation and the associated master development plan have been evaluated for compatibility with the Seminole County Land Development Code. The specific criteria are projected on the slides above. The existing PD future land use is consistent with the proposed PD zoning. The proposed master development plan and development order appropriately address compatibility with the surrounding development pattern. The proposed development is providing an innovative concept that allows for the preservation of a historical building while serving the greater residential community through the provision of neighborhood compatible commercial uses. The cultural preservation of the historic building in the Slavia community is a nod to the existing roots of the community and works to serve as an amenity to conserve a piece of heritage while developing a new expression to the site. The proposed development is expected to assist in reducing vehicle miles traveled per household. The project is located across the street from the Cross Seminole Trail and is providing a sidewalk network and bicycle parking to bolster pedestrian accessibility to the site. The applicant conducted a community meeting on February 10th, 2026. Details of this meeting are included in the agenda package. The Planning and Zoning Board met on May 6, 2026, and voted unanimously to recommend the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from PD to PD. Staff requests the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from PD Plan Development to PD Plan Development as per the motion projected on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Yes.
I have a question for staff.
Sure.
Do we have any idea in the last time that fuel was dispensed on this property?
I don't have an idea.
Do we have any idea if there's any underground tanks on this property?
Not at this time.
Okay. I'll reserve for the applicant.
Thank you. Come on up, sir.
My name is John Frith of Frith & Associates, and I have the architect here, T. Gray Frazier. The applicant, the owner, had a medical emergency, so she couldn't attend today. We concur with staff's review, and if you have any questions, I'll try to answer.
Could you answer Commissioner Zembauer's question that I think he's going to ask again?
Okay. We're not aware of any tanks on the property. I'm assuming they've all been dug up and disposed of. And as far as gasoline being dispensed, it's been many, many years since that's even been open.
Has there been any environmental tests done on the property to make that determination?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Delory?
Thank you. For both the staff and the applicant, in one part of the presentation or the packet, it says that the building is considered to be historical, but in the presentation, it says that it is historical. Which one is it? Is it perceived to be considered historical, or is it?
To my understanding, this is not a registered historical building.
It's not a registered.
Not registered, from my understanding. We don't have a process in the county for doing that, and so it would be through the federal registry,
Okay.
which,
The reason why I'm asking is in one part of the book it says considered, and the other part it says it is, and I just want to make sure which one it is.
yes, sir, considered.
Okay.
When was it built?
1929.
I would consider some of us to be historic, so we were born way
Easy
before
now.
that.
I have a birthday a couple days away.
Is she talking about you or me? Which one is it?
I don't know.
You guys. Is there any public comment with regard to this item?
No, ma'am.
No public comment. All right, I'll look to Commissioner Delory.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Based on the staff's finding and testimony and evidence received here today, and the findings, I feel that the request meets the identified portion of the Seminole County Land Development Code and move to adopt the reenacting of the rezone PD plan development to PD plan development, and approve the associated development order and master development plan for a proposed coffee shop and renovation of the historical building on approximately 1.45 acres located on the east side of State Road 426 and south of Redbug Lake, South Redbug.
We have a motion and a second. Any
Discussion?
further discussion? Yes. Commissioner Constantine had his hand up.
I think Commissioner Zimbauer is going to say the same thing, so I'll defer to him. That's okay.
I would typically support this type of project, but without having any knowledge of previous dispensing of fuel in any underground tanks and lacking any environmental impact studies on the ground, I will not be voting in favor of this project moving forward.
Commissioner Constantine.
As a friendly amendment, Commissioner Delory, I would request that we do have an environmental impact on this piece of property. Commissioner Zimbauer is correct. Although it's been a long time, we don't know what kind of damage there possibly could be. Hopefully, there is none, but still, I would not want to put ourselves in a situation where we'd have to come back and clean up.
Well, let me ask the attorney a question. County Attorney, when they do site plan and the engineering, are they going to have to do a level 1 environmental?
I don't know the answer to that, actually, but I would defer to Development Services.
Okay.
Mr. Rhodes?
Chairman and Commissioners, Mike Rhodes, Director of Development Services. There would be an environmental analysis required as part of that site engineering work. I can't say it'd be level 1, level 2, but
they have to do it.
They would have to do that work and provide evidence that the site's clean and ready for development.
And if the site is not clean, then they have to clean it, correct?
They would have to go through the process and likely involve the state, and we all understand what that entails.
That would be my interpretation of it as well.
Yeah.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For this item, I'm going to pass the gavel to the vice chair, since this is in my district. Item 26, Vice Chair.
She doesn't think I know what number we're on.
Sorry for laughing.
If staff would please come forward and present the item that we have before us, Henderson Hill rezone.
Good afternoon, Annie Silloway with Development Services. The applicant is requesting a rezone of the subject property from A1 Agriculture to C1 Retail Commercial. The rezone to C1 will allow development in accordance with the C1 zoning district, which permits uses including, but not limited to, banks, convenience stores, and restaurants. The subject property has an existing future land use of commercial, which allows a floor area ratio of 0.35. The intent of the commercial land use designation is to provide appropriate locations to identify locations for a variety of commercial uses, including neighborhood and community shopping centers, convenience stores, and retail sales. This land use should be located at intersections or along major roadways as infill development where this use is established. The applicant proposes to develop the property with 3 restaurants, each with a drive-through lane, and does not intend to subdivide the property into separate parcels. The applicant proposes access via Henderson Lane, which is classified as a local road, with a cross-access connection extending west through the existing commercial plaza. A full traffic study and a cross-access easement agreement will be required at the time of site plan approval. The subject property is within the State Road 46 Gateway Corridor and will require the applicant to maintain a minimum landscape buffer of 25 feet and a 50-foot building setback. The request is consistent with the Seminole County Land Development Code and the surrounding area. The C1 zoning district is intended to permit and encourage a full range of essential commercial uses while at the same time protecting nearby residential properties from any possible adverse effects of commercial activity. The applicant will be providing the required open space and adequate landscape buffers to be consistent with the residential district to the north, which will be demonstrated at the time of site plan approval. The proposed C1 zoning classification is consistent with the established development pattern along State Road 46 that consists and aligns with the intent and allowable intensity of the commercial future land use category by supporting comparable commercial activities and is compatible with the zoning designation of the properties located to the west of the subject site and consistent with the future land use designation. The applicant conducted a community meeting on February 26th of this year, and the Planning and Zoning Commission met on May 6th, 2026, and voted unanimously to recommend the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from A1 to C1. And also I wanted to place on the record that after publication of the BCC agenda, staff did receive a couple of emails on the rezone, and they have been distributed to the BCC. Sorry. Okay, to conclude, staff requests the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from A1 Agriculture to C1 Retail Commercial as per the following motion. That is not on the screen, so I'll read it. So based on staff's findings and the testimony and evidence received at the hearing, the board finds the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and meets the applicable portions of the Land Development Code and moves to adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from A1 Agriculture to C1 Retail Commercial on approximately 4.32 acres and is located on the northwest corner of West State Road 46 and Henderson Lane. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant here, and would you like to make a presentation?
Hi, Julie Farr with C Development Services. We're the civil engineering firm for this project. We're just here to answer any questions you may have.
All right. We will let you know if there are any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any members of the public here who wish to speak?
Yes, ma'am. There's one speaker, June Han.
And if there are other members here who wish to speak who did not fill out a form, now is your time. We'll not be asking for forms again. So this is it.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. We respectfully...
Sir, if I could, we didn't read, did we read the public? We did earlier at the very beginning. I don't know if you heard it, but you need to submit your name and address, say it for the record, so that we know who you are, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you. This is Jun Han. My address is 5471 Green Oak Place, Sanford, Florida, 32771. I respectively request the Commission consider expanding the buffer zone because the 25 feet buffer zone and the 15 feet from the building is not enough. For this subdivision, some properties are extremely close to the development area. For example, my property is approximately 33 feet from the house to the development area and 12 feet from my pool area, swimming pool area to the development area. And there are also another 6 houses in my subdivision. They are such close to the development area. We notice currently the commercial development, commercial complex next to our subdivision, it has a 50 feet buffer zone, but still residents next to that commercial complex experience a significant noise impact. For example, during 9-11 p.m., they can still hear the traffic or the music from the car in the parking lot of the commercial complex. And also we notice this development area is located in higher ground compared to these homes. So we worry if the buffer zone not big enough, then we are experiencing the storm water runoff and drainage impacts. So we respectfully ask to expand the buffer zone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next is Cindy Haller.
And who is after Ms. Haller?
And after Ms. Haller will be Eustacia Canty, and that will be the last speaker.
Okay, Ms. Canty, if you could come forward too, please, so that right after Ms. Haller is done speaking, you're right there ready to go.
All right. So, good afternoon, applicant and commissioners. Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. Gosh. All right. So this, I learned about this.
Name and address for the record, please.
Sorry about that, Amy. Cindy Haller, 1731 Beacon Drive, Sanford. Okay. So I learned about this. We're talking about these restaurants going in on 46. Big treed area. I could tell you there's definitely bears and other wildlife in there. So I don't know if there's what the policy is with bear dens, but doing your environmental study. And so if there were going to be restaurants, which I don't really think the 3 fast food restaurants is really a great idea, definite bear-proof dumpsters with no gates to open and close, because there have been issues with code enforcement on the other restaurants, Tijuana Flats, Riverwalk, some of the other ones along 46, where the bears have been feasting on yummy leftovers. It's not good, not healthy for them, and that's why you see pictures of these bears. They're really heavy because they're eating too many high-calorie human leftovers. So I don't know what kind of bear-proof dumpster. I mean, maybe if it is going to be restaurants, maybe that can be something that can be researched, but they need to keep the bears out. And as far as tree retention, there needs to be a lot of tree retention. So I'd love to see the perimeter, the trees kept, and also the trees in the back for noise barrier for the neighbors that back up to that. I mean, probably 50 to 100 feet, if that's possible. And those items to be added to the development order. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Eustacia Cantor. I live in the Lake Forest community. While I don't live adjacent, right next to this site, all of these developments, in the big picture, they are affecting all of us that live in the surrounding area. I question whether 3 fast food restaurants are really a compatible use in this particular location. There's going to be a lot more traffic. There is a neighborhood very close to these restaurants. I mean, it's practically will be in their backyard. And a 30-foot tree buffer is not really going to seem like very much, considering that that existing large buffer of trees is probably blocking some of the noise from 46, which has actually become much more since we had all the roadway expansion, the Requisit Parkway. The noise, even where I live, is much louder. So I'm not sure taking out all of those trees and leaving these people with a 30-foot buffer there is really going to accomplish very much, because they're also going to be exposed more to the noise from 46. And also, as someone else just commented, there is a lot of wildlife in that area and in adjacent areas. And there are other restaurants down on 46 that are leaving dumpsters open and unsecured, which we've emailed code enforcement about several times. So my concern, if this does go through, would be like some planning ahead where we have actual bear-resistant dumpsters that don't rely on people closing and locking gates, because in practice, that's just not happening. So that's pretty much all I have to say right now. I did send a more detailed email.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, if that is the last public commenter, we'll close public comment. All right, thank you. Does the applicant wish to rebut any of the items or answer any questions?
Yeah, I know there's concerns as far as the existing vegetation. We will maintain as much as possible of the natural buffer in the rear, and whatever is required to code. We will also have a 30-foot buffer where 25-foot is required to give extra distance. We'll meet all the building setbacks. As far as stormwater, we've proposed a pond on property that will maintain all of our flow. Nothing will discharge from the property. We've completed a traffic study already that shows there is adequate capacity, and the projected traffic for our development will not negatively impact this at all. There will still be capacity after we're developed as far as the intersection analysis and the traffic. We understand we're in a bear management area, and we'll take whatever precautions we need to there as far as dumpsters and stuff to make sure everything is clean. This is an existing developer. He will own and maintain the property. He has an HOA. He has an in-house property manager that maintains all of his property, so the concern of trash and that kind of thing should not be an issue here.
Commissioners, any questions? I saw Commissioner Zembauer's hand go up, and then Commissioner Delary.
Just want to get some clarification.
Yes.
When you say you'll do whatever's necessary to keep the bears out of the dumpster, tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are about that.
I personally live in Wekiva, which is near the forest. We have, certain times you can put out garbage, certain kinds of garbage cans you can put out that are more bear resistant. There's nothing that's really bear proof. There's, I'm sure, special dumpsters through Seminole County that you can put in place, but I mean, the bottom line is you can do everything you can do to keep them out. And there won't be trash around to attract them. It will be in the dumpster, it won't be sitting around it.
Understood. So are you committing that you're going to do a bear-resistant dumpster?
We can, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Delary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate you doing what you're going to do with the dumpsters or the food, but waste. But my question is also about controlling the sound on the drive-through, because I've seen many of times in other areas that people have complained that late at night, when people are talking in and out of the drive-through, you can hear it in long distance. So it's important that they're put not just in the right location, but the speakers are pointed away from the homes. And then also, at what time would those drive-throughs be operational? Because people do like to go to the drive-through late at night, and I'm sure that the people around there would love to hear their orders, in the adjacent properties at whatever hours that they're in operation.
Right.
Or would not like to hear it.
Right. We will try to point the speakers away. depending on the design, it may not be possible for everyone, but we can do landscaping. We can also, there's a 6-foot wall that is currently in place behind the neighborhood that we will improve, paint. Any missing blocks we'll update. We can also, if need be, add a wall behind our speakers and landscaping there to, mitigate any sound so you won't hear it.
I'd like to get a little more of a commitment than just "we will see," and so I'm hoping that the...
We are, if you'd like to see our plan, we actually have it on here.
I'm just hoping that the district commissioner has more thoughts on this.
I do have more thoughts on this.
Yes.
So you can have a seat.
Sure.
Thank you. So this is a straight rezone. So if this had come through in a PD, we would be able to sit up here and have all those discussions and create requirements, but a straight rezone doesn't allow us to do that.
Correct. Unless the applicant offers to do it.
Hold on, I'm asking the attorney, not us.
That's correct. On straight rezones, we just rezone it to the conventional zoning district. There is no development order that's issued with conditions that you can place on it.
And so, in addition to all the stuff that you all brought up, I also have concerns around why you wouldn't access this from 446 as opposed to accessing it through what is really a very small road that goes into this neighborhood that has no outlet on the other end. So if somebody comes out and turns in the wrong direction, they're doing weird U-turns down there. It should be entering through the main road. We can't legislate that in this type of route. So I will tell you that I am prepared to deny the request. I think, first of all, I'll be as clear as I can be. 3 fast food restaurants coming from agricultural to C, all the way to 3 fast food restaurants in front of this neighborhood just does not seem compatible to me. And especially coming through in this type of zoning request. Our policy, FLU 5.3.3, states that commercial developments adjacent to existing residential neighborhoods should be developed as planned developments with flexible site design to provide buffers, maintain existing tree cover, allow for adequate and safe pedestrian and bicycle connections between the planned development and existing residential neighborhoods, and maximize visual compatibility, which we have no ability to do in this, with the surrounding neighborhoods. Since the request is directly adjacent to an existing residential development, it doesn't comply with this policy. So PD rezoning would be the most appropriate method for us to get to this and make this as palatable for this existing neighborhood that was built next to agricultural, albeit with the future land use of commercial, so that we can create a good environment for those that already own property and have property rights in addition to the owner of this property as well. So I am prepared to make a motion based on the findings and the testimony and the evidence received. The Board of Commissioners to find the request does not meet the identified portions of the Seminole County Land Development Code, and I would move to deny the requested rezone from planned development to PD and approve. Oh, I'm reading the wrong one. That's awesome. That is fabulous. I was reading the wrong one. I'm moving to deny it. I thought I had, so just for the record, I thought, I don't know why she doesn't have it. I have it.
There's a motion to deny.
There's a motion to deny.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Zembauer.
This is for staff.
Ma'am, from C, if you would like to have a seat, that'd be super helpful. Thank you.
Help me understand how staff has supported this.
Okay.
And where we're at, and I've read it, I've been through it. You claim it meets all the things it needs to meet. So you heard the district commissioner's comments. What say staff?
What say it of us? Well, it is consistent with the area. It faces State Road 46. There are other C1 uses in the area. Our code is, for buffers, is adequate enough to provide a buffer to the north. So when we do a rezone to C1, a straight rezone to C1, the buffer code would, at the time of site plan, provide adequate buffering against the adjacent residential properties.
And,
Doesn't
okay.
address the traffic.
The,
It doesn't address the use of the road.
Understood.
In the planning and zoning, moved this forward unanimously, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who are our appointees?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I think that's all I have. And one more thing.
Yes, sir.
And maybe I overlooked it, operating hours.
Yes, sir.
What are the operating hours?
So we do have standard operating hours of operation in the Land Development Code. So at the time of site plan, they would have to abide by those.
Which are?
I think right now I think it's 7 a.m. to
10?
I think so, 10 or 11. Don't quote me on it, but
Okay.
yes,
All right. Thank you.
you're very welcome.
That's all I have for now.
Before we have any more questions, I think the county attorney would like to have an opportunity to help clarify the motion that was seconded.
Yeah, so, for motions for denial, the Florida statutes require us to put the reasons for denial on the record through the motion. And so, since that motion, you're reading from something that was, I think it would be best in this case if if the seconder withdraws their second and you withdraw your motion and state for the record why you are denying it and point to the specifics as to why. That will help us when we render the development order, and it will help us be compliant with the Florida statutes.
I withdraw my second.
I'll withdraw my motion.
So motion is withdrawn, and the seconder withdraws their second, and is there a new motion?
There is a new motion. I move to deny it based on the fact that the request is a conventional rezoning from C1. However, policy flu 5.3.3 states that commercial developments adjacent to the existing residential neighborhoods should be developed as planned developments with a flexible site design to provide adequate buffers, maintain existing tree cover, allow for adequate and safe pedestrian and bicycle connections between the planned development and existing residential neighborhoods, and maximize visual compatibility with surrounding neighborhoods. Since this request is directly adjacent to existing residential development, it does not comply with this policy. PD rezoning is appropriate method to rezone this property and would allow us to require the appropriate conditions to protect the adjacent neighborhood.
There's a motion
I'll second again.
and a second.
Discussion.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Constantine?
Normally, as most of you know, I would not like PDs. But that's usually in developments, housing developments, because usually all PDs are asking for additional density without really understanding or requesting or asking for more setback or higher setback or where we want, and other things that I think would be essential in residential. In this case, it's not the fact that I have a problem with the restaurants on 46, but the district commissioner and others in the discussion, individual citizens as well as commissioners, have talked about the various concerns that are here. I truly, on this property, I truly believe that probably it would be much better if we could find a way that they would have access through 46. I believe that if you look at the property, there is a great deal of tree retention, and if we could have more buffer and setback from the back and maintain those trees. The wall, obviously, is in disrepair and would need to be fixed and probably not only be fixed, but improved for noise. The bear-proof containers, and I respect and thank the young lady that came up from the engineering that says, we'll try, we'd be happy to, we do this, but it would be so much better if we had it in writing, that they came in and said, this is what we will do, without, because we cannot ask them, we can ask them, we cannot require them, they can offer to do it. So with all that in mind, and I probably missed a thing or two, but with all that in mind, I agree with the motion. In this case, it probably, one of maybe, only 1 in 99.9% of the time, I would like to have had a PD instead of straight zoning.
Commissioner Zembauer.
Question for our attorneys. In what we just heard about the PD, if an applicant has voluntarily agreed to place restrictions or adopt restrictions that are suggested by this board, are you telling us that is non-enforceable?
I'm telling you that that would be enforceable through a development order that we would have to put together and the applicant would have to be agreed to. And that's what we do in PD cases. But with conventional rezonings, we don't have the procedure to do that. And so then it's not reviewed to come back to you. Procedurally, it's not, we don't have it in our code to be able to do that, is what I'm saying.
Understood.
But legally, they can agree to do it.
Correct.
Yes.
And it's enforceable at that point.
I mean, it would be enforceable by the terms of whatever the agreement said, whether we would
I just wanted to make sure.
code enforcement or whatever, but yeah, it would be enforceable by whatever the terms of the agreement said.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure we had clarification on that, because I think what we were hearing was, unless it's a PD, you can't do any of that. And if that's the case, I will tell you that I sat on P&Z for a lot of years, and sat on this board a lot of years, where agreements were made with applicants during the course of the hearing that weren't PDs, that I know we're enforcing yet today.
Commissioner Herr, and then Commissioner Constantine.
So I think the challenge that we have with this one is that it didn't come through that process. This isn't one little item that we're asking for. The team did not go through the process of negotiating in advance of it coming to this board all of the details that probably need to be looked at. And quite frankly, I'm not willing to leave it to risk. So I think it's got to go back through that, as our county attorney said, the process that gets all of that written out to the degree that it is enforceable. And quite frankly, we know we're going to have code enforcement issues. We know all of the things. Then let's line it up and go put it back through the process and get it right the first time, so that we're not leaving this for future boards to struggle with.
Commissioner Constantine.
I have a series of questions. First of all, Ms. Silloway, was there a reason that we went through the Henderson Street instead of 46?
I would have to defer that to engineering to answer that question regarding the access off of Henderson. I do know that if they were to request access off of State Road 40, West State Road 46, they would have to go through FDOT.
Correct.
And go through their process.
Understood that, but I mean, yes, okay, sure.
Oh, wait, if you may. I know.
This would be the chair.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I know I'm not holding the gavel, but do we have someone from county engineering here? I think the question should go to the county engineer, and then if a commissioner has another question for you, they'll be happy to ask you and have you have an opportunity to answer that.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, fellow commissioners. Joe LaFaso, Assistant County Engineer, Seminole County Public Works. As to the question of access off of State Road 46, obviously we're not going to prescribe that they cannot, request that from DOT if they choose to go down that route. My initial review of it would be their struggle is going to be that on a road like State Road 46, the minimum separation of a driveway from an existing driveway or cross street would be 660 feet. Currently, they could not achieve more than half of that from Henderson or from the driveway to the smoke shop. So they would require a design variance from DOT in order to be able to access from State Road 46 directly. So again, obviously we're not restricting them from that option, but I would say that would be their main hurdle, would be actually getting an access like that for this site on the state road.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
All right.
So my next question, NASA.
Thank you, Mr. LaFaso.
Thank you very much, sir. So NASA, and this is not part of the motion and that I seconded, but I'm just asking, I'm trying to look for answers here. If we postponed this and they came back with, hearing what we've said, a series of things that they agreed to, because some of them they said they agreed to, but that was just, oh, we'll try, or, yeah, we wouldn't be opposed to that. Could they come back with that, with a series of things that they had said that they would put into, voluntarily, into a development order? And could they come back, and then we could analyze that?
I would say that since what went through the planning, what you're talking about doing here is so significantly different than what was seen by the Planning and Zoning Board, they would need to come back through with a PD. That would be my suggestion. Further, when something comes through our system, it's routed to all of our different departments. So Natural Resources looks at it, as far as the trees go and as far as the bare containers. We would send it out to probably the solid waste provider in the area to determine what the commercial bare dumpster looks like. I mean, there's things in here that would need to be, many things from what I'm hearing, that would need to be routed through the PD process so that it touches all departments in the county. I would not suggest postponing this and then bringing it back and trying to tie it to a conventional rezoning, particularly since, as Chairman Herr has said, when commercial is adjacent to residential uses, it should go through a PD process.
Thank you. That's the answer I needed to have.
And Commissioner Sandbauer.
Which then begs the problem, how are we here?
Well,
Because here's the problem that I have with this whole process is we have an applicant and a property owner that has gone through the process with our staff. And I'm somewhat perplexed why we've gone through this whole process and all of a sudden now decide we need a PD. Is it because this board has chastised staff not to do PDs? Because we hear that all the time. I mean, from a business perspective, I truly have a problem that we're running people through a process that staff has backed, number one, claims it meets the code, which, by the way, I agree. Planning and Zoning has passed it unanimously. And I've heard my fellow commissioners on this board say many times, Planning and Zoning approved it. That's the first look at that before we get it. This is a costly process for landowners and business owners. So I got a serious problem that we would somehow just now decide this should be a PD.
Well, I can answer that.
That's a problem I've got.
Yeah, so first is, the comp plan says should, doesn't say must. So if an applicant comes in with a conventional rezoning to C1, we process that application as it comes in. And you can process that application because in a commercial future land use and C1, the C1 zoning district is an allowable district in the commercial future land use. The comp plan says should, doesn't say must. And that's in instances where commercial is next to residential. So the county, if the applicant comes in and asks for a conventional rezoning because they're in commercial and they want C1, we have to process that. We have to process that.
So we have
Understood, 100%. But I also understand it's staff's responsibility to advise that applicant if there is something extraneous there or if it is not a process that should be taken, because it's happened over and over again. I mean, I've had applicants call me and say they've gone in to make application and we're told, yeah, that may not be the best way to go. Here's what we suggest. And that's the expectation I would have. So with that said, I'm not going to argue with my fellow commissioners and staff on this matter, but as a businessman myself, I'm really, really concerned that this applicant has gone through time, dollars, hiring experts. Our staff has approved it. Planning and Zoning has approved it. And here we are. That's my issue that I have.
So we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Herr, do you have something you want to add to the discussion?
I'm going to add it to the discussion, and then I'm going to finish that by calling the question. But I truly don't believe that staff did anything wrong. I think the applicant had a choice. The applicant came in. The applicant is also squeezing 3 fast food restaurants onto a property that is literally maxed out. I asked the question whether we could increase the buffer zone, and the answer is no, because we're trying to get to 3, not 2, on that property. So they made a conscious decision based on the business, the business math, that 3 is better than 2, and that's why we're here. And quite frankly, I think we're doing the right thing by saying, let's slow the roll. They can choose not to pay for future council to bring it back through us or not, and let's make sure that we are doing everything that we can do to protect the community and facilitate the development for the landowner. With that, I'll call the question. Vice Chair.
There's a motion and a second. We have closed discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Motion passes 4-1. And I will pass the gavel back to Chairman Herr.
Do you want to tell me what item we're on? It seems fair.
No, I trust you.
It seems fair.
I trust
27.
That brings us to item 27. This is Maya. Welcome to the podium. I'm sure we've made you feel wonderful about coming up and taking the podium, but we'll put all that behind us and move on to your next item. So thank you for your work here.
Good afternoon. I do have something to hand out to you. It is the changes between the first and second reading. You have already received a copy of it, but I don't think it was in color, so this one's in color.
And color matters because there's red.
It does.
In memory.
Well, yes, and in my
Yes.
instructions, I did say that they would be in red, so I understand.
Like words of Jesus in red.
With that, Maya Athanas, Principal Planner, Planning and Development, and I am here to present the second reading of the Land Development Code Amendment. This is a request to consider an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Chapter 5, Chapter 20, Chapter 30, Chapter 35, Chapter 70, and Chapter 90 of the Seminole County Land Development Code. So I will say, as I said before, this is the second reading of this item. You heard the first reading last month. I am prepared to go through the presentation, but the presentation would be the same as it was last time. Or I can just go through the 3 things that have changed between the first and the second reading.
Madam Chair, if it would be
Yes.
appropriate, I'd like to go through the 3 things that have been changed, since we've already been briefed on it several times.
I concur.
Commissioner Constantine?
Ms. Constantine?
All right.
Okay, thank you. So the first of the 3 things that were changed is we added the use of vocational, business, and professional schools as a permitted use in the C3 zoning district. We also added multifamily residential as a permitted use in the HIP Airport future land use designation when that multifamily residential is part of a mixed-use development with certain floor area ratio limits, which is 49% or below for the development, and that's found in section 30.8.5.2. And then lastly, we added the option for the Development Services Director to waive the prohibition of gated communities when developments are going through the alternative design standards process. And with that, staff requests the board approve the second reading of the proposed ordinance to amend the Seminole County Land Development Code as per the following motion as shown on the screen. And I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions?
I have none.
No. Is there public comment on this item?
Yes, ma'am. 1 speaker, Allison Yurko.
Thank you.
Wait.
All right, the 1 speaker has waived her ability to speak.
Literally.
All right, and there's a document
Really?
coming down the dais. Well, it's 2 different people, so it's 2 different documents. Commissioners, is there any discussion?
I'll just say thank you to staff for the time that we had talking about this again and
again.
again.
And again.
And again.
Would you all like to read this into the record?
Depends.
That would make it easier.
Is it relevant?
This is written public comment from Cindy Holler, who gave her address for the record earlier, and it is neither in support or opposition, but the comment is concerned about dredging and filling cost county more money in the long term. No more dredging and filling. Also concerned about the density bonuses becoming projects. Am against the density bonuses. All right.
Chairman?
Yes?
If I could just say one more thing. I just want to say great job to Maya. Maya has been working on this very, very hard, and Development Services reviewing it, and after we decided to move away from the consultant, she took over this project, and it's taken a lot of hours and a lot of time, and she's done a really great job. So I just wanted to say, it made my job easier because she did such a good job, my job to review it. So I just
Great.
wanted to thank you for allowing me to say that.
So anybody can compliment anybody else at any meeting that I'm running, but I also say, I don't know that I've heard Ms. Borkert make many compliments in her day, so I think you should take that one to the bank. And my mom used to tell me that everybody has their ticket into heaven, and maybe this one's yours. But hold for the vote before you cash that ticket in. Commissioners,
Ready to make a motion?
thank you.
Motion to enact an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Definitions, Chapter 5, Administration, Chapter 20, Development Orders / Approvals and Denials of Application for Development Approvals, Chapter 30, Zoning Regulations, Chapter 35, Subdivision Regulations, Chapter 70, Dredge and Filling, and Chapter 90, Uniform Building Numbering System of the Seminole County Land Development Code countywide.
Second.
One thing, Commissioner Zembauer, does that include the changes that were made from the first reading to the
Yes.
second one? Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And the amendments therein.
And you concur with the changes
As-
of the
the
amendments?
as
So
amended,
the
yes.
motioner and the seconder have concurred. Any further discussion, Commissioners? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Better go buy a lottery ticket, Mike.
Thank you all.
All right, item number 28, this is Lori Bailey Brown. This is to approve an ordinance of Seminole County, Florida, repealing Part 2 travel expenses of Chapter 5 Administration of the Seminole County Code of Ordinance in its entirety.
Good afternoon, Lori Bailey Brown, Chief Financial Officer and Administrative Services Director for Seminole County. We are revising the Seminole County travel policy, and as part of that, we currently have the policy in the Administrative Code and the Code of Ordinances. Our goal is to have one policy that governs. The background is that originally the Code of Ordinances was first. The travel policy was there in 1997, a couple of years later, more detailed. The current status is that as of today on the consent agenda, the board approved a revision to that administrative code all in one place. This is part of the overall revision of the policy, removing it from the ordinance in its entirety for not to be duplicative or conflicting. So our recommendation is that approval of the ordinance, repealing Part 2 travel expenses of Chapter 5 Administration in the Seminole County Code of Ordinances in its entirety.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment on this item?
No, ma'am.
All right. Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
Move to approve an ordinance of Seminole County, Florida, repealing Part 2 travel expense of Chapter 5 Administration of Seminole County Code of Ordinances in its entirety.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Takes us to the county attorney's report.
I have no report today, Chairman.
Don't take this the wrong way, but that's awesome. County manager.
All right, you're going to tell me I'm awesome too if I say no report?
I will,
No report.
Always begging.
No report, Chairman.
because you've been busy doing other things. Budget. All right, I'm going to move to the district commissioner's report, and I'm going to take chairman's privilege and move Commissioner Zembauer to the top because he was not here at the tail end of the meeting last time, so he may have more than the average to discuss. Not that that ever happens.
No.
And then we'll go through the rest of the order.
The good news is that I've heard nothing about the emu running wild in Geneva, so I think we're good there. We have had some livestock moving around, unfortunately. And of course, as you all know, fires and so forth have happened out there. Of course, everybody knows that the Geneva Parade, the 4th of July Parade, was this past week. And I've asked staff to look into an issue that has arisen from that, and that we are ensuring that from a permitting standpoint, we are treating all entities equal and just, which apparently is not the case because they were issued a permit without any insurance liability coverage, which in my opinion exposes the county and the taxpayers to liability in the event there's a problem. Not to mention, we require the churches and all the other civic groups to have liability policies as well. And in this case, I don't know where we're going to start having exceptions or whether we're going to decide to adopt the liability of all these entities at the taxpayer's expense, which I have zero interest in doing. So I've asked staff to look into that and come up with something that ensures that we're treating all entities equally under our code and so forth. Also,
Mr. Zavar, would you mind if I asked a question about
Sure.
that? Did we not go through that and decide that that wasn't going to happen?
I thought we did, but the background that I can tell you is I was asked by the entity to inquire on their behalf to waive the requirement, which I told them I could not waive, but I would present the question to staff, and if staff thought there was an issue or possibility, it would have to go to the board. Staff said no, cannot be waived, but then at some juncture, it was waived, and the district commissioner was never told it was waived.
Right.
So I ended up telling the entity it could not be waived, and unbeknownst to me, it was waived, so therein becomes the district commissioner looks like a moron because.
Well,
and that truth might be.
We were all in an email chain that
Yeah.
said, we're not doing
And we're
this."
looking at this situation that Commissioner Zimbauer is speaking about. In fact, he made, 2 weeks ago, I think he brought it to my attention. So I'm reviewing that. Really, in this case, there was no provider. No one would insure it. So that's what we had eventually found out, what true or not true. So we're coming up with a policy for the board to review.
Right. And my statement's been if there is an entity that is unable to become insured, that within itself should tell us everything we need to know.
Right.
In the meantime, we've got the sheriff's department out there running around. We've got citizens out there running around, cars and vehicles and buggies and tractors and all those things on
airplanes,
our streets.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's an issue. So I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. And I've asked, again, staff to get to the bottom of that and then have conversation with all of us about how we prevent that from occurring. Commissioner Lockhart?
Well, hold on a minute, I'm still chairing. So are you bringing that back?
Yeah, I'm actually getting all the facts for this, and then I'll
And
bring
then
that
bringing it back.
Yes,
So
and
it's-
I'll talk to
it's
each
scheduled to
individual.
bring back.
Yes. Mhm.
Commissioner Lockhart.
Well, I think the cars and the people and the buggies and the horses and the tractors and all the things are great and wonderful, and to celebrate our nation's birthday is
100%.
fantastic, and we all love that, that annual event. I think it is remarkable to me that we can't, I'm echoing what you said. We cannot pick some and not
Right.
others if the county is going to be the one holding the liability for the activity. I had a good conversation with someone from a Catholic church recently who, All Souls used to have that festival every
Right.
year, right? The fall festival was huge. And they started having trouble with liability coverage, and they had to cancel the festival because of liability, the ability to get the event insured. And I cannot see how I would be able to say to my friends at All Souls, using the, not my
Sure.
personal friends, but, our friends at All
Figuratively
Souls.
speaking.
Yeah, and say, well, we're going to cover the Geneva Parade on the county's liability coverage, but we're not going to cover the All Souls Fest. Like, how do you determine which you would cover and which you wouldn't? So
don't
I think
know
it's a
that you can.
very, very slippery slope, and thank you for finding out the facts
Yes.
of what actually occurred and how we can be equitable moving
Yes.
forward.
Commissioner Zimbauer, back to you.
The next item that I want to bring up is an item that's been discussed on this dais a number of times, and that has to do with activity by other commissioners in a commissioner's district. And I'm not going to name any names, but what has happened is one of our faith-based leaders reached out to me some 9 months ago about a property in my district that they felt should be used for affordable housing. Being the district commissioner, I gladly brought these folks into my office, had a discussion with them, went to staff and gave them all the details of what was being asked for. Staff did their due diligence, went to work, and Darren was aware of it. They went back, did all the research on the property, and spent who knows how many hours of staff time to determine that this particular piece of property could not be used for the intended purpose or desired purpose that this entity wanted to use it for. They were told that. I continued to work with them on other properties that they were looking at, and I even went as far as getting with our staff to identify through our GIS system privately owned properties and publicly owned properties that possibly could be used. Gave that to the realtor so the realtor could do their due diligence on behalf of the faith-based group to try to find them a piece of property. As time goes by, then I learn that this thing is starting all over again because this particular leader reached out to another commissioner and believed or was in the perception that maybe something could be done, and then it started all back over with staff, which means staff was doubling, and some of the staff members were new staff members, so they didn't necessarily know what some of the other staff members had done. So now we had duplicated processes, and in no time was the district commissioner aware that another commissioner had a conversation with somebody. And had I known that, I could have very easily said, already been down this road, here's the details, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a problem. And as all my fellow commissioners know, and I've always said, if you have an issue or somebody from my district reaches out to you, maybe they're a friend, maybe they're a fellow church member, whatever they might be, I really don't have a problem with you all dealing with it if you've got a personal relationship with them, but at least give me the courtesy and call me and say, Commissioner, somebody in your district has a problem with their sidewalks, I'm going to help them out, blah, blah, blah. Great. I'll at least have it on my radar. And there's a couple reasons for that to happen. One, so I know what's going on in my district. Y'all got to know what's going on in your district. But also prevent this commissioner shopping that some like to do, which is they're in my district, they come to me, I go to staff, we get the answers, they don't like the answer, they go to somebody else's office and start all over again, and we're all kind-hearted, we want to help. We've got to come up with a plan or a policy to stop it, because it just continues, and it's been going on literally since I arrived here. The second year I was here, I looked at a dashboard system by OpenGov that we've never adopted, which is a dashboard that can tell all of us, including management, what's going on in the district. And you don't need specifics. I mean, my A could simply put in, Mrs. Smith at Turnbull Court has a problem with the sidewalk, we're dealing with it. That's all you would need to do. You don't need all the details and all that stuff. But staff would also be able to do that, but the commissioner would also be able to track that through the process with staff and understand where staff is with dealing with it. So that's a problem that I think I would like support from my fellow commissioners to ask staff to come up with a procedure on how we stop this through interaction on a dashboard or a clearinghouse or something, because obviously picking up the phone and having a conversation with your fellow office is not working.
So I'm going to just weigh in here. It doesn't matter what staff comes up with if we don't actually follow it. So
Agreed.
we've had this discussion more than once. I would tell you that I don't think it is consistently bad, but it has now cropped up again. I think the protocol is that if you're being asked to do something that is related to another commissioner's district, the first question you ask the constituent is, have you taken this anywhere else? And does your commissioner know about it? You at least can be informed as to whether or not they were told no or not, assuming there's an honest answer to that. And then the second thing is to go to the commissioner's office, either through our aides or wherever, to figure out what work has already been done on it. And I will tell you that with regard to the most recent one that was being shopped around, I did go back and inquire. I think somebody else has probably already worked on this.
Right.
Which is how we, and then I have since called and said, we've got to stop doing this so we think that one's over, but it is exceptionally disconcerting to work something in your own district and then have it crop back up again, sometimes months later, and potentially have a different answer pop out. So.
Well, and that's where it gets real bad, and a lot of that can be communication. It's definitely an issue that needs to be addressed, and we take care of it. And I think that if the answer is, if staff has brought a problem that's not in that commissioner's district, they need to first ask questions. As long as we can rely on staff to know that and ask that question.
That's actually a good first round as well, is that if commissioners are bringing items in another commissioner's. And I think we had that agreement up here at one point. Staff is to copy us back on it.
Right.
And let me get it on the record. Never on anything that we would vote on. We're not violating sunshine. These are typically very simple maintenance, mundane issues.
Needs, yeah.
And research and all of that kind of stuff. But that is an issue. And then before I turn it over, I don't think a dashboard with just our stuff on it makes sense. I think a constituent issue dashboard is a bigger thing, and then it would be by district, and then you would know everything that was going on in your district.
Absolutely.
That should be where we're heading.
Right, no,
At some
agreed.
point, all calls should be logged. Call volume should be logged so that we know that the people that are taking these calls, what the volume is, and what the return rate is, and how long they're on the phone, and how long it takes to respond to calls, all of that stuff. We just don't do that yet. Did you have anything to add, Darren? And did you have your hand up, Commissioner Lund? Please.
So we had talked about a CRM, and I don't know if we're implementing that in another department, if that's something that, if there's a module that could be opened up to the other commission offices that's already existing, so we're not reinventing the wheel. Did we ever buy a CRM?
Not to my knowledge, but I can
Yeah,
follow up on that.
I think that'd be, I mean, years ago, when I worked in the commission office, we did have, there was I think it was, I forget what, it was an old, something in Microsoft that they probably don't even have anymore because I haven't seen it. I mean, it was like that old. But that it was probably through SharePoint, and we could keep track of what was going on in each other's districts as aides. And it was just something that the five of us shared, because not the whole county doesn't need to know all about everything that's going on all the time in the commission offices, because some of it is very, very mundane. And I'm sure that's when they turned off SharePoint, I'm sure that went away as well. But it's only as good as the information that's put in it. And so all for it, but I think it's an us thing. We need to just communicate with one another better.
Well,
Laurie?
Madam Chair, and Commissioner Zimbauer, to put full circle on this, it was Father John Blute that called me up. He asked me that piece of property you mentioned, and I says, contact your district commission, which is Commissioner Zimbauer. He says, I couldn't get a hold of him because you're on vacation. I said, well, if it's that important, then contact the county manager. And I got out of it at that point. That's what happened. And I've had no further discussion with him since that.
I'm pretty difficult not to get a hold of.
Well, I believe you were up in northern Saskatchewan.
And that was 9 months after we started, and he was already
I'm just
told.
telling you how it got to me, and I referred it to the county manager, and I haven't done anything since then. That's why the letter went to the county manager.
Okay.
Back to you.
Finish my report?
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Constantine has
Thank
something
you.
to add.
I guess I have to put a full circle on this.
Well, it would be our third circle.
Yeah, okay, maybe fourth, fifth.
Yeah,
Okay. We're elected by everybody in this county.
we are.
Sorry.
And I do appreciate and understand what Commissioner Zimbauer said, and all of us have tried to do that, I think. I don't know of anybody that doesn't. I know the first thing that I do with my aid, if it comes in, if it's somebody outside of the district, we all have friends.
Right.
And of course, that same person contacted me, and you, It got all five of us,
Sure,
okay?
contacted all of
And the
us.
first thing I did was go back to Beatrice. I said, okay, he's going to come back to me, find out what this is. And that was all I did, okay? And I think that all of us should have and probably did do the same thing. So it might have gotten more convoluted than that, and then staff said, oh, these people are asking questions, and started moving on. But the fact of the matter is, we can't stop constituents in this county, with all of us, with the friendships and acknowledgements and everything else we have, not to at least find out what's going on. And I don't think you're
Understood.
saying that.
No.
But I'm just trying to put a ribbon on this and say, if a constituent calls me up, and I know that they have already contacted somebody else, I'm still going to contact my staff and say, find out what this is all about, because they're going to come back to me and ask me if there's anything. And I did that. And that's all I did. And I'm not saying you're accusing anybody here, but I'm just telling you, each of us handle maybe it a little different, but I'm not, there was no, I don't want us to be so concerned about something that we don't respond to constituents.
No, and that's not what I'm saying at all, but a simple call to my office would have said,
and I think
so-and-so on staff has already addressed this. If you feel better calling that staff member, don't take my word for it, call that staff member. Let them reiterate what they've told me, and I'm fine with that.
And Commissioner
As long as
Zimbauer,
I
I
know
think that's,
about it.
from what I'm saying, I know my staff contacted your staff, and then to find out the information, I had my staff go ahead and call them, so I knew what it was, found out what it was. He never did call me back, but if he had, I would have had the answer.
Sure. Which he was
Commissioner
already
Gloria is laughing because I know.
All right, so next item.
Yeah.
I want to thank Eagle Scout candidate Brian Morris, who led his group out at the Seminole County Gun Range and Archery Range. He put up 2 new target stands, range markers on the left and right boundaries to 70 yards, new picnic tables and benches, position markers, new sign for the entrance. Archery shed was completely cleaned up, mowed and trimmed, and brush was cut. Logan Smith is the older youth from the venturing crew. Max Eimer was also involved from his troop. And Dr. Ben Eimer is the troop's current scoutmaster. And Tim Smith was Brian's former scoutmaster for many years. Speaking about folks in the area. Of course, I attended the Liberty Tree celebration and congratulate the chair and vice chair for the good work they did in the presentation that day and the reading. And I think that's all I have. Thank you very much.
All right, Commissioner Constantine.
Thank you very much. As you all know, there was the Florida Association of Counties meeting this past 2 weeks ago. Commissioner Commissioner Lockhart, and I all attended. 2 things that I think are very much of an interest. There is a plan of action that is associated with the League of Cities and other groups, Chamber of Commerce, hopefully the sheriffs and everyone else that are concerned about this misleading property tax initiative, that are all working together. And as I said when we were all talking, the numbers seem to indicate that people are getting it, and the numbers are going down. I would also tell you that there was great presentations on growth management. Commissioner Lockhart and I were both prominently displayed in our questions to the senators and representative that were there, and quite frankly, they couldn't answer our questions. One of the things that did say, well, they were concerned about the fact that when, after all the work developers did, they came here and we denied them. And I suggested, and then I said, well, what you don't understand is if they're going by the zoning and everything else, they don't come to us. So it's only when they're asking for favors that or changes that they come to us. They couldn't answer that question, or they were very, really type of thing. So that was it was a great meeting, and I just wanted to assure all of you that the county and others are really working. They do have working with a number of other folks, a PAC going, and they're working on, just getting the information out. Also, I wanted you to know that on the 30th, the Seminole County Value Adjustment Board had its first organizational meeting, in which Commissioner Delory and I were at, and we're ready to roll. And for the sake of time, that's all I got. Oh, no, excuse me. Very quickly.
Close.
For those of you, last year we got, last year the county got in the Florida Association of Counties calendar with an individual that was not of the staff. Everybody is open. It's open to give any of the photos and everything in this contest. And this year, it is Florida sunsets. So it should be a really nice calendar. So anybody in the public that wishes to send in a Seminole sunset, please do, and we can get you the information. Call my office. Thank you.
Well, I do have a lot of sunset pictures on my phone, but they don't qualify.
Good.
Commissioner Lockhart.
One of the breakout sessions that I attended at the Florida Association of Counties Conference had to do with data centers and AI, and it was actually very, very interesting. And Steve Kuntz also was in that breakout session. A lot of differing perspectives. The place was packed. It was standing room only. It was a very good panel. I don't know where we are in terms of the investigation work that needs to be done to look at our preliminary moratorium, but I would highly recommend getting in touch with the folks that served on that panel for some differing perspectives. One elected official from South Georgia, someone from a utility from TECO. And, I think most of the people who came to the breakout session were there expecting to hear the pitchforks and, torches deal. And it was actually so much more complex and contemplative than Nancy Reagan's just say no, right? The amount of forethought and really planning so many years ahead, thinking not just about what the immediate aspects might be, but what about decommissioning? And what do you do? So maybe you're not using fresh water out of the aquifer. If you're using a recycled water system, how is that water, which will now have PFAS in it, be eliminated? I mean, they were very, very detailed, very good questions. And so I'm glad I attended that breakout session. It was, I hope, I don't know if they recorded it or not. It would be wonderful to be able to share with you all. The other, I'm going to skip through a bunch of this stuff because we're going to repeat a lot of the same things. But one of the other things that I wanted to mention is, as one of your representatives on the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council, I am leading a working group related to property insurance and affordability. There's forget what they called it, I'll call it the symposium that was held in Volusia County earlier in the year, where there was the Jeffersonian Roundtable. There was a lot of discussion about that, about resiliency and affordability, and the conversation very quickly turned, of course, in light of property tax reform, folks identifying, but you know what, in my community, the affordability is less related to property taxes and far more related to property insurance. And so, you get a group of 30 elected officials and some staff members around a table, and things kind of take on a life of their own. And before we knew it, we had developed this working group. And so there's a very small number of us who are working with members in the private sector as well, to take a different look at how local government can play a positive role working with insurers and reinsurers and the legislature, members of perhaps the Office of Insurance Regulation, the insurance commissioner, to talk about how insurers view risk in a community and what it is that we do as local elected officials that either improve that risk or make that risk greater to them. And so I will continue to bring you updates. We've finished the framework that we'll be using for talking about this around the state and around the region and expanding our circle greatly. But I feel really good about the work that's being done and feel like it will actually be something that could be beneficial down the road for our communities to see improvement in the true affordability issues. Yeah, I don't know how else. I don't know what other way to say it without saying. I feel like the property tax thing kind of became a red herring because Tallahassee couldn't tackle property insurance, and so let's find something else to talk about. Right. Oh, let's talk about this. So let's talk about the actual problem as local elected officials and tackle that issue and see what we can do to be effective there.
So before you move on from that, if there are any resources that we could lend to that group from the Highland team, we'd be happy to do that. We have property and casualty people right in our office that deal with personal lines, and then I have a fairly large network of people that we could bring to that table in terms of expertise.
Fantastic.
And if I can, Commissioner, there has been a recent survey that Floridians, on individual Floridians, pay more for home insurance, property insurance, than they do property taxes.
Absolutely. I know that's definitely the case in our family. And just so you know, we will be going out, the Planning Council will be going out for RFP to have someone lead because there needs to be some research that's done before we can actually go out and say, we think X, Y, and Z. We need to make sure that it's defendable and that we're coming from the same thing that we are saying Tallahassee has not been doing is what we want to make sure that we do. We want to come at this with a very, very solid data, research-based perspective so that when we move forward and have findings that we want to see implemented, there's some meat behind it. So, but thank you very much for sure. So, and then the last thing I have is that Commissioner Zembauer has a birthday on Friday. So happy birthday, Commissioner Zembauer.
Thank you.
Is he officially historic, or do we just consider him historic?
As much as I hate to say it, the big 6'5".
Oh, sign up for Medicare.
But it's really the new 4'5".
Get off our group plan.
It's the new 45.
That's right. Let's get off.
You guys aren't allowed to say that, but I can.
I don't feel 65. Does that count?
Exactly.
It's the preservation from the artificial sugar in your diet soda.
My grandkids call it Papa Milk.
Papa Milk.
All right, well, with that, I will move on to Commissioner Delary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two quick things. Metro Plan is moving forward with a working group to talk about e-bikes for Seminole, Orange, and Osceola County, and they're bringing in not just staff, but other organizations. DOT is another one of them, as well as other experts to try to get a handle on this and to make recommendations to the state and or local government as well. So that's, as we move forward, I'll let you know more about that. As we all know, the Turnpike has the construction on the 417 from the Seminole Orange County line all up to 434. There's been a number of small fender benders up and down that road, and during the construction, the road is actually narrower than normal, and the speed limit has not been reduced from 70, and over the weekend, there's been a fatality. They're still researching the cause of fatality, but it's a fatality nevertheless. And I'd like to ask our commission to actually have our staff talk to DOT about reducing the speed during the construction of that road, because 70 is a little excessive, especially at night. And I didn't know if it would be appropriate for us to ask our staff to talk to Turnpike that during the construction of the 417, because it's a much narrower right-of-way for the construction, to reduce the speed temporarily during the construction time only.
Commissioner, at least my observation, traveling that corridor, there are flashing signs that tell you to reduce maximum speed to 60.
I can tell you, it says 70 every day long. I've already checked.
I was just on it this afternoon.
So
Just on the other side of the bridge, there's a flashing sign that says 60 mile an hour max.
It depends on whether there's workers present or not. So I do believe that we should, let me see if I can rephrase this to combine that. We need to find out what it is. We need to have our engineering team understand why it's posted the way it's posted. And if there are concerns on behalf of the engineers that do this
That's
all
all I'm
day,
asking for.
then we need to be lobbying for safety.
Sure.
That's all I'm
needed.
asking for, Madam Chair.
Perfect.
All right.
I'm not making a suggestion it needs to be reduced. I just want to make sure that someone's looking at it.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, that's the end of my report.
All right, I think that brings it to me. So I did attend the memorial service for Judge John Woodard. Really well attended, standing room only. He would have been really aggravated to have that much attention. But it was wonderful to be part of that. But it's very sad to have to be part about that as well. I do have an update for you from ROM. I haven't given you one in a long time, but since January, there have been 115 people that have been placed into permanent housing, roughly 19,000 nights of shelter, and 57,000 meals served. And then they've also been working with the Office of Emergency Management with regard to heat and cold and all the stuff that we've had. And we've had a lot of it this year already. From a chairman's report perspective, I would like to extend a congratulations to Sharon Gregory, who's the Public Safety Specialist with the Seminole County Fire Department. She was recently designated as a National Certified Child Passenger Safety Technician Instructor. So the instructor is the important thing. She's the only certified child passenger safety technician instructor in Seminole County. And she's a Sanford resident and has served at the fire department in the community outreach team since 2014. So we're very proud of her and very glad we have her. Other than that, I do not have anything else to report. Do you have any public comment reports?
No, ma'am.
Look at that.
Yay.
Hearing no other reason not to adjourn, meeting adjourned.
Yay.